Japan, this country has become the site of a series of attacks by giant creatures called kaiju. These monsters always cause great fear and anxiety among the people. To protect the people, Japan has established a special force called the Defense Force, with the mission of directly fighting and destroying these kaiju. Kafka, a young man, harbors the dream of becoming a hero who protects people. He believes that he will have the opportunity to become a hero, to save the people from the terror caused by the kaiju. However, fate has it that Kafka is transformed into one of the most terrifying kaiju. As the whole world is hating and fearing these giant creatures, Kafka now has to find a way to survive and whether he can fulfill his original dream of protecting humanity. Let's follow Ackerman recap on the arduous journey of Kafka, who is both a victim and a terrifying threat to the whole world. In the past, Kafka and his neighbor Mina had promised to destroy all the kaiju together. But fate has played a trick. Mina has now become a beautiful, talented girl, the commander of the 3rd Division of the Defense Force, who is considered a leading candidate for the command position in the future. As for Kafka, he is 32 years old but has failed the exam countless times. Deeply disappointed, he has given up his dream of standing alongside Mina. He is now doing the job of cleaning up the remains of the monsters. On another boring day, Kafka is assigned to work with part-time employee Ichikawa Leno, 18 years old. The kid also has the dream of becoming a member of the Defense Force and seems to look down on Kafka for giving up his dream for no reason. The two are divided to clean up the innards of a kaiju of gigantic size. Although the slimy pile seems a bit disgusting, Kafka has helped the young Leno a lot. In the evening, when the work is done, Leno thanks Kafka and gives him the latest information. The Defense Force has increased the maximum age limit for applicants to 33 years old. Hearing this, Kafka feels that this kid is also very thoughtful, even though he has no intention of applying again. Suddenly, a monster with a huge mouth appears from behind Leno and wants to devour him. As soon as it starts to chew, Kafka quickly takes Leno away, saving his life. But it seems the monster is determined not to let them go. Its mouth starts drooling as if it has been starving for a long time. Seeing the situation is not good, Kafka asks Leno to go and report to the authorities. With an iron pipe in hand, Kafka quietly thinks this trip is over. He can't do anything. Right now, Leno has come back, using a stick to hit the monster's head straight. He had reported to the authorities and returned to fight together. The two are determined to defeat the monster, but their strength is limited. They both know their fate has come to an end. A barrage of bullets from the front hits the monster, causing it to explode and turn into a disgusting lump of flesh. The one who saved Kafka is none other than Mina. She appears as a powerful female warrior, making Kafka somewhat embarrassed. When Kafka is taken to the hospital for treatment and hears the encouragement from Leno, he is determined to join the Defense Force once again. In the midst of his eagerness and determination, a tiny kaiju suddenly flies to look at Kafka. It says "Found you" and flies into Kafka's mouth. Beside Leno's bed, he hears a strange sound, quickly pulls the curtain to see, and sees a kaiju sitting there. He is terrified and screams, but Kafka quickly calms the little guy down. But unfortunately, when Leno calms down, an elderly patient next to him quietly calls the authorities. Fleeing is the best policy. Kafka smashes the wall and runs away with Leno. But why Leno runs after Kafka, I don't know. TV starts broadcasting news about a small kaiju wandering in the city. Not knowing where to go with this monstrous form, Kafka hears the sound of a monster of the same type as the one that recently attacked him. The monster has destroyed a house and a woman is trapped under the rubble. Her daughter can only scream and wait for death to come. Just as the monster is about to eat the girl, Kafka throws a punch that knocks the monster away. It seems the punch is not strong enough. He decides to punch seriously and send the monster to the other world. Kafka is even surprised by the miraculous strength he possesses. The girl, after being rescued, has overlooked Kafka's frightening appearance and sincerely expressed her gratitude to him. 3 months have passed since the day he became a kaiju. The news has constantly reported about him. This is the first time the Defense Force has failed to find and contain a kaiju. Therefore, Kafka has been given the special nickname Kaiju number 8. This failure is understandable because Kafka has returned to human form. Although he occasionally transforms into a monster, luckily no one has discovered it. Kafka continues to work and function normally as a regular person. After the meeting at the hospital, both Leno and Kafka have registered and passed the first round. Today, the two of them came to the Tachikawa branch of the Defense Force's Western Tokyo headquarters to participate in the second round. When they arrived, Kafka was provoked by a little lowly girl. She demands that the uncle remove the rusted iron car from her sight. This request annoys Kafka because there is plenty of room in the parking lot. But the girl still doesn't give in because her lucky number is 55. Not wanting to argue too much, she quickly takes off her shirt and goes straight towards the car, lifting it up with one arm and throwing it aside. This hot-tempered girl is Kikoru Shinomiya. Kafka doesn't give up, using the monster's strength in his arm to flip the car back. This makes the girl can't believe it and asks if he also has a special suit. The second round exam is extremely difficult, and Kafka always fails at this round. Especially, this year's candidates are much more outstanding, so Kafka is near the bottom of the list. Before the final test of defeating the prepared monsters, the candidates are equipped with full weapons. With the Defense Force uniform, the skin-tight suit is like blending with the body of the wearer and also measures their ability to use it. Normally, the elite forces can only unleash about 20% of the suit's power. However, Miss Shinomiya has unleashed 46%, the highest record ever recorded among the candidates. And Kafka has also set an unbreakable record as the first candidate to achieve 0% energy release. The candidates start to hold weapons and enter the battlefield. Kafka pretends to be cool, but with 0% energy released, the suit becomes extremely heavy. As soon as he encounters a kaiju, he understands that its weakness is the eyes and throws a dazzling grenade while shouting for everyone to shoot at the stomach, which is the weakest point. This performance beyond expectations is thanks to the years of cleaning up the remains of monsters. Kafka has encountered every type, so he easily understands their weaknesses. Just as he was starting to look cool, the man again fell into a dangerous situation when a monster suddenly pounced on him, causing him to injure some internal organs. Inside, the exam controller advised Kafka to stop to save his life, and he would also be disqualified from the exam, but Kafka refused, struggling to get up and continue because this is his last chance. Leno carries Kafka on his shoulders, eagerly advancing, but after just a few steps, the announcement of the end of the exam is heard. The Kaiju in the exam has been eliminated by Kikoru. Kafka was sure that he would fail again this year, just like every year. But suddenly, just as Kikoru was about to leave, another kaiju appeared. It was not on the list of kaiju in this exam before anyone could understand what was happening. Kikoru was shot in the body by the monster's finger beam, but she quickly focused on the shield of her suit, thanks to which she avoided the bullet piercing her heart. The newly appeared monster began to revive the kaiju that were killed in the exam. Seeing the opponent weakened, it ordered, "I'll leave this place for you. Remember to chew thoroughly before swallowing." Before leaving, the monster fired a few more shots at Kikoru. Although not dead, Kikoru's whole body is seriously injured. At the command center of the exam, Mina and Deputy Commander Hoshina set out to Kikoru's location as soon as they noticed something unusual. They also informed the candidates to find the nearest shelter. At Kikoru's side, she is still fighting the huge monster that the other one left behind. But this one has evolved completely differently from what she has faced before. The organs that have been cut off have regrown, and it has become even stronger. Exhausted and helpless, Kikoru can no longer stand. She silently apologizes to her father for not being able to become the perfect person he wants. Just when death seemed near, Kafka appeared. He says, "You've done very well, let me take care of the rest." Then Kafka transforms into a kaiju right in front of Kikoru. He strains with all his might, causing a tremendous burst of energy to appear. It is so huge that the meter at the command center confirms it to be level 9.8, the strongest kaiju that has ever existed. With this terrifying power, Kafka throws a punch that blows the giant monster to pieces. When Mina's team arrived, Kikoru had fainted and Kafka had also reverted to human form. The news has started reporting on the kaiju that has just been killed. Although many were injured, luckily no one died. In a bathroom somewhere, the kaiju is regretting that no one died in this plan. Suddenly, he transforms into an ordinary man. He has infiltrated everyday life under the identity of a janitor. After the exam, Leno passed the selection and became an official member of the Defense Force. Kafka, although weak, is still on the unofficial list due to shortage of personnel. Kafka will be managed by Deputy Commander Hoshina. The reason Kafka was accepted is partly because Hoshina has some doubts about his relationship with the monster that suddenly appeared during the recent exam. When the Kaiju No 8 signal appeared, Kafka's signal also disappeared. Everyone has 2 months of training to get used to the suit. Leno has risen from 8% to 18%, Kikoru from 45% to 55%, and Mr. Kafka has climbed from 0% to 1% after 2 months. The uncle has turned 0 into 1 and is as excited as if he has accomplished some great feat, even looking down on Kikoru. All the young men here have joined the 3rd Division, partly because they admire the beauty and talent of Captain Mina. After knowing Kafka and Mina's relationship, they demand that Kafka tell them more about Mina's childhood stories. Deputy Commander Hoshina has also overheard this conversation. He meets Kafka and says, "I won't give you the position next to Captain Mina." Suddenly, the alarm bell rings violently. This is the first mission. The target size this time is a large 150 meters, but the detection device still recognizes other supporting monsters underground. Facing the supporting monsters, Kafka and the new recruits are not at all afraid. They split up and demonstrate their abilities after 2 months of training. Especially Leno, his potential is highly appreciated. Uncle Kafka doesn't want to become useless. Kafka jumps into the pile of flesh and discovers the weak point of the monsters is at the neck. They also have reproductive organs under the anus and must destroy this egg to prevent them from reproducing after death. As for Captain Mina, she has unleashed 96% of the suit's power. After 5 reloads of the weapon, Mina successfully destroyed the 150-meter giant monster. But after it died, hundreds of thousands of small monsters crawled out. Leno and Iharu go together. Although both are new recruits, Iharu realizes that Leno has much greater potential than he can keep up with. The two are about to move to the next position when the disguised Kaiju number 9 has been sitting in front of them from the beginning. He is furious because all the reproductive organs of the monsters have been shot down. Iharu doesn't realize he is a monster. He advises him to leave immediately. But then his fingers start to mutate and he starts firing shots at Iharu. Fortunately, the shot was slightly off target and did not hit the heart. Before they could understand anything, he had transformed into a kaiju. He wants to kill them and take them back as experiments. Leno quickly contacts the rescue center by radio, but the radio has been handled by the monster. Leno has to rely on his own efforts. He tries to focus on the fingers to avoid the deadly shots. Leno asks Iharu to run and call for help. Iharu, although initially disagreeing, is finally forced to run away from there. Iharu is scared and feels that he has become a coward in front of Leno. Not wanting to lose and not wanting to be a coward, Iharu has returned and stood side by side with Leno. Iharu supports from the back, creating conditions for Leno to unleash a full-powered shot at the monster. But it has used the other monster carcasses as a shield, so it still has no effect. It counterattacks by unleashing a barrage of shots at Leno, causing him to collapse immediately. Leno is not dead yet, but it is clear that this Kaiju Num 9 does not intend to stop here. Although Iharu has fired a volley of bullets at it to save Leno, they are all useless. It still advances towards the fallen Leno and wants to kill him. This desperate situation is almost hopeless, but in the end, Kafka has appeared in time. In monster form, Kafka throws a punch that blows the monster's head off and carries Leno out of the danger zone. The monster realizes that the one standing before it is Kaiju number 8 from the rumor. At this point, it unleashes its full combat ability. A series of arms appear. It attacks Kafka, but he has managed to accelerate and get close, unleashing a series of punches into its body. The monster didn't expect the opponent to be so strong, causing its regenerative ability to slow down. It was completely defeated by Kafka. Just as he was about to destroy its core, the security forces arrived. They pointed their guns at Kafka, causing him to not dare to make a move. The monster took the opportunity to escape and promised that next time it would bury Kafka. Kafka also quickly slips away when he confirms that Leno is safe. When he finds a small alley without CCTV, Kafka intends to transform back into a human, but Deputy Commander Hoshina is right behind him. Finally, I have found you, number 8. Hoshina is like a warrior when he possesses excellent mobility. With 2 sharp steel swords in his hands, he easily injures Kafka. Hoshina's attack is so fast that it cuts off Kafka's arm. Recognizing that he cannot escape if Hoshina still has a weapon in his hand, Kafka deliberately approaches. takes one of Hoshina's swords, and makes a path to escape. Hoshina, by letting the Kaiju number 8 escape, has suspected that this monster is too intelligent and acts exactly like a human. Right after, the information about the human-type monster attacking Leno has also been reported. With his face exposed, the monster decides to kill someone else and steal his identity to live. This dangerous monster has officially been named Kaiju number 9 by the Defense Force. After the incident, the new recruits organized a lavish party to celebrate their first mission. All the gourmet dishes are taken care of by Izumo, a new recruit who is also the son of the country's leading weapons development conglomerate. This party is also to celebrate Kafka, officially becoming a member of the 3rd Division of the Defense Force. This is also a proposal from Deputy Commander Hoshina. But the joy did not last long. Kaiju are about to land at the Tachikawa base of the 3rd Division at an altitude of 8,000 meters. They have launched an attack on the base, and it is estimated that their strength is all over 6.0 and are all original Kaiju. The base is engulfed in a sea of fire. Kafka and everyone realize that this is an attack by the monsters, a battle that has never happened before, because according to records from 1970 to the present, there are 19 types of lizard-like flying Kaiju, but they only appear alone. This time they have gathered and have a very strong leader. The leader monster is small in size and has a structure close to that of a human. It wants to fight the strongest one here, and of course Deputy Commander Hoshina will stay to fight it. He orders the others to deal with the remaining monsters. The base has been surrounded by the Kaiju. Other members of the Defense Force have also arrived to fight the supporting monsters, but their weapons don't seem to have any effect on them. Kafka has deduced that the back is their weak point. Kikaru, with her large axe, a new weapon specially made for her, charged straight into battle with the monsters. This paved the way for the whole team. She and Leno combined their fighting to take down the monsters. Kafka and Minasi were tasked with assisting the wounded. In just a short while, other experienced squads also came to reinforce. On the Vice Captain Hoshina's side, he had sliced the leader into many pieces with his sharp sword. However, just as everyone was rejoicing for having taken it down, its body began to swell and grow several times larger than the building. It began to emanate intense heat, and the monster's strength index reached 9.0. As for Hoshina, after unleashing the full power of his suit, it had pushed his body beyond its limits. Blood started flowing from his nose. He only had a maximum of 1 minute left. If he prolonged it further, he would be in mortal danger. However, the monster had summoned auxiliary monsters to hug it in a suicide bombing. Hoshina took advantage of the smoke to move behind the monster and attacked it with all his might. But the monster's punch sent him flying far away, and he was completely immobilized. His support suit had also overloaded. But then, without any support, with just his 2 swords, Hoshina still kept advancing and unleashed a series of slashes on the monster. Because a girl had told him, "I need your strength. When I take aim, can you create an advantage for me?" Just as he was about to be crushed by the monster, Hoshina smiled. "I've won." A barrage of highly destructive bullets were fired into its body. Mina had finished charging her energy. Her shots had punched a hole through its sturdy body. However, this monster had excellent reflexes. It had quickly evaded Mina's shots. Seeing this, Hoshina advanced again. He used up the last of his energy, activating his suit at 63% energy output. He wanted to draw its attention and make it vulnerable so that Mina could shoot at its core. But since the suit had overloaded, it needed time to regenerate. At this moment, Kikaru appeared, focusing her attacks on its legs. Thanks to this, Hoshina had also finished regenerating his suit and charged in to cut off the monster's legs. Mina seized the opportunity to fire a finishing shot through the monster's core. It let out a painful scream and was completely defeated. They had succeeded in killing it, but before they could even celebrate, the auxiliary monsters had gathered into a huge self-destructing bomb. It turned out the monster's final scream was the order for its underlings to self-destruct. It was already too late for them to escape. Not letting the efforts of his comrades be in vain, Kafka rushed towards the meat bomb at a speed that surprised everyone. He jumped up and transformed into a super monster in front of everyone. He punched the bombs in the air. A thunderous explosion rocked the entire area. The defense forces quickly deployed shields, thus saving everyone. Kafka could not move after the massive explosion. He also understood that he would have to face the upcoming scrutiny. A group of Defense Force members and Mina all pointed their guns at Kafka. "We will proceed to arrest Kafka Hibino." "No, monster number 8. Kafka was escorted to the main headquarters of the Defense Force. As he left, he didn't dare to look straight into the eyes of his comrades, thinking that he had deceived them. But Leno said, "Hibino, I believe you will come back." Next, Mina, although she acted coldly, also said that no one in the 3rd Division sees him as a monster. She is also preparing documents that will be beneficial for Kafka to help him avoid the death penalty. As for the members of the 3rd Division, they were transferred to other teams because the base in Tachikawa had been destroyed by more than 75%. Now, they need to become stronger and learn from other units to improve their abilities. As for Kafka, he was tied tightly to a chair. His fate will be decided by Director General Isao Shinomiya, Kikoru's father. He is the strongest man in humanity. He ordered Kafka to be released and shot a barrage of bullets at his body. He wanted Kafka to transform and fight him. Initially, Kafka only transformed his limbs and part of his face to evade the attacks. However, Isao owns a suit made from Kaiju number 2. In the world, only he can control it. Faced with Isao's relentless attacks, Kafka was forced to transform into a monster. But even in this form, he was no match for Isao. Pushed to the brink, Kafka began to lose control of the monster within. Uncontrolled, Kaiju number 8 began to attack Isao furiously. It tightened its grip and cornered him. As Kafka's mind was being consumed by the monster, the image of Mina appeared to help him return. He used his hand to stab his own body and said, "I'm not Kaiju number 8, I'm Kafka Hibino." After saying that, he collapsed and returned to human form. Unit 1, Commander Gen Narumi pointed a weapon at Kafka. But Commander-in-Chief Isao ordered him to lower his weapon. He decided he would use Kafka as part of the military strength of the forces. However, most people at the headquarters opposed this decision. He went to meet Kafka in the infirmary and ordered, "If you want to keep living, you must prove your usefulness." In the city of Kunitachi, an old threat has resurfaced. Kaiju number 9 has fully recovered its body. It is planning to reclaim the Kaiju power that has fallen into human hands. The Defense Force is also training intensely. Kikoru joined 1 division. Her mission is to learn the essence from Narumi, the commander of the strongest unit in the Japan Defense Force. She was disappointed when she saw a messy room and a stranger playing games. But as soon as they received news of a kaiju approaching their area, Narumi regained his composure and asked Kikoru to go to the battlefield with him. While sitting on the plane, Narumi suddenly rushed out and attacked the monster, causing it to disappear instantly. He trains his soldiers not based on attitude, appearance, or dignity. For him, only strength matters. A few days later, Kafka was also assigned to Narumi's 1 division. They want to create the strongest unit capable of suppressing any kaiju threat. Kaiju incidents have been occurring more and more frequently lately. Just the other day, there was another warning about a group of kaiju. They are kaiju ants, which will rarely appear on the surface. They usually hide in the ongoing construction tunnels. This is the first time in history that they have appeared in such large numbers. But these auxiliary monsters are nothing compared to the formidable lineup of 1 division. They easily annihilated each kaiju ant. Kikoru also had the opportunity to learn and train her abilities. As for Kafka, he is trying to transform. Trying to destroy them to prove themselves useful is still unsuccessful. He still cannot transform. Just as he was unsure of what to do, an original monster appeared, riding on the back of an ant. It is Kaiju number 9, and it is looking for the Kaiju number 8 that it has been searching for, but it only sees Kafka standing there. It transforms into its perfect form and intends to kill Kafka. Kafka is having to fight alone. Number 9 has injected seeds into the monsters, making them stronger. Not only that, in Narumi's area, when they killed a Kaiju ant, a second powerful Kaiju number 9 was created on its back. On Kafka's side, just as the monster was about to deliver the finishing blow, Kikoru arrived in time and sliced the monster in half. However, it quickly recovered and continued to attack them. Kikoru tried to hold the monster in place so Kafka could transform. Kafka was initially afraid of being taken over by the mind, so the transformation process was unsuccessful. But after receiving Kikoru's trust, he transformed and engaged in battle with number 9. Kafka is now better able to control his power and unleash the potential he has not been able to tap into. Number 9 was repeatedly punched by Kafka and could not recover in time, so it hurriedly contacted its second entity to merge and reach maximum strength. However, the second entity is facing off against Narumi and refuses to merge. As a result, Kafka successfully defeated the first Kaiju number 9. As for the second one, it is likened to a virus because it is constantly learning and evolving on its own. It can be said to be the most dangerous opponent humanity has ever faced. But it did not expect its opponent to be Narumi. He has a weapon that makes any Kaiju wary when facing him, the retina of Kaiju number 1. With the retina, Narumi can predict the movements of his opponent. He saw through and destroyed the core of the monster, killing it without it even having a chance to gasp. The auxiliary monsters created are also gradually disappearing. Everyone is overjoyed to celebrate the final defeat of the dangerous Kaiju number 9. However, Kafka suddenly remembered the monster's words, "I will kill you and take that great power." He doesn't understand what great power it was referring to. And true to Kafka's suspicions, the story is not over yet. The two they just killed were not the real entity, it was just bait. The true target they are aiming for is the power of Kaiju number 2, which is in the hands of Commander-in-Chief Isao. The monster has successfully infiltrated the command center. Kafka, Narumi, and Kikoru are rushing back to the headquarters to confront it. The monster has become much stronger than its previous appearance. With just one punch, it sent Isao flying away. Can he defeat this ferocious being and protect the power of Kaiju number 2? And the 3 members of Kafka's team, will they make it back to the base in time to join the Commander-in-Chief to completely eliminate Kaiju number 9 once and for all? An even more tense and fierce battle is awaiting you in the next part. If you find this content interesting, please hit the like button, share, and leave a comment to support us. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.